Well, there is a new wheel that's available and it's a very reasonable price, and you can have it landed pretty much anywhere in the world, included taxes, customs, and everything else, $500 US. And you really have to ask yourself, how can a carbon wheel that's made by this company called ProX be able to make a wheel that's of pretty good quality that is 500 bucks, which is a kind of mid-priced aluminium wheel? Well, let's roll that intro and let's have a bit of a talk about what are the real figures then behind the scenes, and how can they make these carbon wheels so cheap that are actually a fairly good quality. Now these wheels, these ProX wheels, when we see a price of $500 US, we're probably going, in the back of our heads, we're thinking, yeah, well, these wheels are probably rubbish and I wouldn't buy them and they'd probably be unsafe to ride. They could break, collapse, or just have bad bearings or give some sort of trouble at that price, because you can buy a pretty low-end set of aluminium wheels for 500 bucks, even probably not even mid-priced. That's a pretty average set of wheels, even in the aluminium wheels. So how can the hell did this company do it for $500? And we know that they're pretty good wheels because Hambini just did a video on them, and I'll put a link to it up here, and then you can go and click on the card and you can go and watch that, and he breaks it down and pulls them apart and tells you they're not the best wheels on the market, but they're reasonably good quality. They're not rubbish. So we need to weigh up the price versus how good they are. And a carbon wheel that's reasonable for $500 is a bargain in anyone's language. So what this does is, to me, that when I was watching this video that Hambini did, the thing that kind of was going in my brain is, how can they make them for 500 bucks when they're making them in the same city as pretty much all of the other wheels? We know that there's a city in China where pretty much all of this stuff, or most of this stuff, comes out of all these carbon fiber products. And you go, hang on a sec, like, this is the same wages, they're paying workers, they have the same overheads, the molds are the same price, everything's the same, nothing's different. So how do you go from a $500 wheel up to thousands for even the average brand name ones? And if we want to go to the top end, it's 3,000 plus. In fact, some of them that are really expensive, you can probably pay even 3.5, 4 grand AUD. So that'd probably be maybe about 3,000 US. That's not unusual, and we know that. We've seen these wheels. So how the hell can they make them for this price? Now, if we flip the coin around the other way and we look at it from a different point of view, we go, well, hang on a sec. Let's break it down what ProX is doing here. Now, ProX are selling a carbon wheel that's of reasonable quality. So it's not the best wheel on the market, and it's definitely not the worst. It's average, so it's in the middle somewhere. Now, if we look at this $500 US, that includes shipping, packaging, customs, everything. And then they still have to pay all their workers. They've got to pay their electric, their lease for their factory. They need to make their molds and everything like that. So what is actually the cost price of manufacturing the wheels? Because they're not doing this and not making money. They'd still be making money on that wheel. I would say at least 100% markup on their price. So if you're paying $500, they're probably getting it out the factory for $250. That's pretty typical. And they have their own website, and they'd probably have all of the normal business overhead costs that you would have in that same city that they're making all of the other wheels. So what that tells me is, if they can make a wheel like this for $500, then, and make a profit and send it to you, to your doorstep, then really what's it costing them, these top end wheels, to be made? So let's just say we halve that price and we say $250 US to make the wheel. So what we're saying is that these big brands that we're paying thousands of dollars for these wheels are probably making them for probably at the maximum $250, which is quite astounding because there's a massive, massive markup on these products. And we've heard this with frames as well. Frames, the open frames, you can get them for a few $100s. Now, people may not like this guy, but he was selling frames in Australia, in Adelaide, Australia, and that's Durian Rider. Now, whatever you say about the guy, he was selling his frames for around about $800 US. Now, he was getting them out of China. He claims out of one of the same factories that the big brands were made out of. Okay, he didn't design them. He just bought what they call an open frame, which is designed by that factory, and he just buys it off the shelf and anyone can buy that frame. So he was being able to sell them for around about under $1,000 US. So this just goes to show to me that what the markup is. And then if we flip the coin again, we're getting products that are coming out of these factories that really are not even as good as these wheels are. These wheels, and Habini showed us, everything was hunky-dory. Okay, maybe you could have had a bit better bearings, could have been made a little bit better, but it had steel spokes. It had what we all expect on a normal carbon wheel, and there was nothing wrong with it. It was maybe just a little bit heavier than other wheels, but that was because he was saying it was made with thicker carbon, which could be good for people who are a little bit heavier, so a safer wheel. And the hub and everything was a pretty good design. So you go, what the hell? What the hell are we paying for when we're buying these top-end products that we're getting from these name manufacturers? And I must admit, when I saw these wheels, these Pro X, I went and had a bit of a look on their website, and they have quite a few wheels. Hambini talked about a few of the road wheels, but they also sell mountain bike wheels. They've got quite a plethora of different types of wheels that they sell. They even had like I think it was 5-spoke all carbon wheel. And I was a bit keen on that. I would like to get something like that if they made it for road bike, but I've got to probably inquire with them a bit more to see if they make something like that. This one was particularly for a mountain bike. So guys, you leave your comments down below. What do you think about the pricing of these name manufacturers when we're seeing these wheels coming from a manufacturer? They've got a website, everything. This is not AliExpress. You go onto their website, and we've had it reviewed by Hambini, so we know that the quality of the wheel is not trash. It's a reasonably good quality, good enough. It's not going to fall apart on us, and it's probably going to be fairly durable and give us some sort of reasonable lifespan. And these products you can land on your doorstep for $500 US. So it's a bit of an eye-opener, I found. Anyway, guys, that's where I'm going to leave it, and I will see you next vid.